charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. Thank you for joining us this morning. Got a great show lined up for you. Got some really good information, especially if you're getting close to closing, whether you're the buyer or the seller. I've got some things I think are very, very important to take a look at because there was actually an article that came out in the National Association of Realtors, or actually they put it out. But anyway, it appears that right about one-third, about 1 out of every 3 deals are either delayed at closing, where it's maybe several days late closing, or even canceled. So those are some of the things we're going to be looking at a little bit today, why those things happen, and what we can do to avoid that, if at all possible. And there are a lot of things we can do. But also, this weekend, we actually have the State Auctioneers Convention going on here in town. And just an awful lot of stuff going on. I love being around these auctioneers. It's just very fascinating what they do and how they do it. In fact, I have a guest on the phone lines right now by the name of David Taylor. How you doing, Mr. David?
Hello, Frankie. Good morning.
Have y'all geared up at the association yet, at the convention?
Yes, sir. We actually kick off this morning. Registration's at 12 o'clock, Frankie. Then we get to be blessed by your presence about 1 o'clock, teaching us some continuing ed.
Oh, I just can't wait. It's always a fun thing, and y'all got a fun group of people in that organization, that's for sure. And, is this like a weekend-long thing, or is it just today?
No, it's a weekend-long thing. We actually get together as a South Carolina Auctioneer Association, and we get our continuing education, network with each other. And tonight, Frankie, we have our bid calling championship where we'll crown 2016 grand champion, bid calling champion this evening. We also have a rookie division this evening, and also newly that was brought to the board by our 2015 champion, Mr. Brian Hope. We have a George W. Martin division, veterans division, where the past champions and the gentlemen that are 65 years or older that are still in the business can compete for several different prizes.
Awesome. Well, I think you were the 2012 South Carolina bid calling champion.
Yes, that's correct. I was, and I have Brian Hope with me here. He is the reigning champion 2015.
Oh, y'all together?
Yes, sir. We're standing here together in the office here at the hotel.
Okay.
Frankie, and also we're located here we're at the Hilton Garden Inn at 8910 Farrell Road.
At the Hilton Garden Inn. And so if somebody's interested, because auctioning real estate, a lot of people are still very unsure how that works. And I'm sure you do a lot of that, though, I would presume.
Yes, I do. It's no different than traditional listing. We just put it in an accelerated marketing campaign, and we give a definite date and time to when to sell the asset.
Well, it was kind of interesting because just last night or yesterday evening, I had a client in my office. In fact, she was asking about, how does the auctioning work? And because she was thinking about buying something or bidding at a real estate auction. So if I'm interested or curious about maybe coming to an auction, do I have to have like all cash to buy, or how does that work?
Frankie, it's different terms and conditions for different auctions. Of course, if you're buying at the courthouse steps, that's a little bit different than what we do, putting the asset in an accelerated marketing campaign. Some of the terms and conditions do all cash the day of. Mostly it's a deposit, a certain percentage deposit on the day of, and you have 30 to 45 days to close by getting bank financing or whatever you may need to do. That you do have 30 to 45 days to close that.
Okay. Well, do I have to have some kind of proof of funds, like a pre-approval letter or something, before I can even bid? Or
No, sir. You could actually, when you show up, we just ask that you have my terms and conditions of mine, and it differs with different auctioneers. I require 10% deposit, certified funds, cash, or certified checks.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting, and one of these days I want to get you actually on the show, and let's just talk a little more detail about how the auctions work, because not only do people obviously are now looking at selling their homes this way, but estate auctions where they're selling all their personal property within the house is very common. That just put it on auction or online.
Absolutely, we get calls like that every day.
Well, that's very interesting. And again, where's this convention going? You said the Hilton Garden?
Yes, sir. We're at the Hilton Garden Inn at 8910 Farrell Road. And we'll be here starting at 1 o'clock today, of course, with CE. Tonight at 7 o'clock is when the bid calling championship starts. We have the fun auction. We'll be raising some money for our foundation.
Okay.
And it is definitely open to the public, starting again at 7 p.m. this evening.
7 p.m. this evening at the Hilton Garden, and that's on the northeast side of town. And I'm looking forward to it. I know I'll be teaching. I can't thank you guys enough for allowing me to come in pretty much every year for the last few years to provide the continuing ed, and such a pleasure. A lot of fun. So wish you guys a lot of luck and hope you have fun tonight.
Frankie, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you, and we'll see you this afternoon. And again, we'll love for the public to come and see us. And 25 to 75, now what about 100 quarter, half 75 too. Hey, Frankie, we'll see you later, buddy.
All right, buddy. I can't talk that fast, so goodbye. Anyway, David Taylor, he was the 2012 bid calling champion. So been around, done it a little while, and if you got nothing else to do on a cold, rainy, maybe even snowy evening, go out to the hotel and check them out. It is very interesting to see what they do and just watch how they do it. It is a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. I wish the weather was a little bit better, honestly, but hey, still going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully I'll get to see you there as well. Well, I know we're getting close to the end of our first segment, but we're also going to be talking, in our next segment, we're going to be talking to Erica Hill West, which is our mortgage go-to gal, because according to this survey by the Association of Realtors, 1 out of 3 closings are either delayed or in some cases canceled, and a lot of that has to do with financing reasons. So we're going to talk to Erica about that. But then some other top 2 reasons is appraisal issues and then home inspection issues. So we're going to talk about those, how to avoid them. If you have any questions or anything I can help you with, any comments, love to hear from you. The number to call is 803-799-8255. Again, 799-8255. Be right back with some more Success in Real Estate.
With Erica Hill West on Success in Real Estate.
All right, good morning again. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. It is time for our mortgage update with Erica Hill West. Does such an awesome job. I am so pleased and happy that I can actually refer clients to Erica and then just sit back for at least in terms of the financing, because I know they're in good hands. And she happens to be on the phone line with us at this moment. How you doing, Miss Erica?
I'm doing great. How are you, Frankie?
Oh, it's beautiful outside today. And
it's beautiful out because I'm alive.
There you go.
Right?
That's what I'm talking about. You go, girl.
Every time you wake up, it's a great day.
Hey, it could be worse, that's for sure.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm looking at this article that came out by the National Association of Realtors talking about why 1 out of 3 closings are either delayed and quite substantially, and a lot of cases just never even close. And according to this article they put out, 46% of those delayed are due to financing issues, and they're citing really two things primarily, and one is their credit score changes from the time they were approved from the loan till the time they close. So let's talk about that real quick. How can that happen?
Well, there are a couple things that can happen. Typically, when we pull credit at Mortgage Network, that credit report is good for 120 days.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't necessarily repull credit. We check your credit prior to closing for new inquiries to make sure that in those 120 days, should it take you that long, you didn't open up new credit that we weren't aware of.
Okay.
Sometimes opening up new credit, if your balance has changed, can affect your credit score. But the other thing is sometimes during a credit process, I don't like to do this, but there are some lenders that do, that they've got to clean up some things that may be on their credit. Disputed items, collections, they may have a policy where they need to pay off X amount of collections if it's over a certain amount. And once they pay those off, their credit score drops. If it's their company policy to repull credit, that's how your credit score can drop. So it's really going to depend on what the practices and procedures are from lender to lender to bank to bank.
Yeah. And
we've had it happen removing disputed items.
Well, and one thing, and I've heard you tell me, in fact, one of the things you started certainly early on when we first started working together, is really beating me over the head to coach my buyers not to go out there and buy things on credit before closing.
Yes.
Because that obviously can impact not only your credit score, but then the second thing that it says associated with the financing deal is the debt-to-income ratio changes.
And there's a pretty simple explanation for that one. Sometimes it's not necessarily excess purchases during the transaction or new purchases while the loan is going on. Sometimes, and I've said this to your agents and your classes numerous times, when you are doing a pre-qualification on the phone, you cannot see everything. Okay, so you're depending that borrower to have full knowledge and that the information that they are telling you is accurate.
Yeah.
Most times I don't think that their intent is to deceive, but they don't give correct information or they leave out stuff. A lot of times you'll find, they'll say, well, I get Social Security for my kids. And so the loan officer uses it, and there may be restrictions on how long it has to continue for. And they may get it for their child, but their child's 16, and we have to have a 3-year continuance. So that income can no longer be used. So there are some things that can change that affect DTI. Absolutely. Taxes, homeowners insurance. There's an HOA that the lender wasn't aware of when they went to purchase the property, and that pushes their debt to income too high. There's a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, in fact, and I think this is what you just talked about, but one of the things specifically they mentioned about the debt to income is if someone fails to disclose or mention about payment obligations such as child support.
Absolutely.
I guess a lot of people think
we will find it.
Yeah, because they're thinking, well, it's not going to be in my credit report, I suppose. I mean, that won't show up in the credit report, will it?
No, not always. If they have had a derogatory history, sometimes they'll report to the credit report. But if you are single or you are unmarried and you state that you have dependents that you claim, the underwriter most likely all the time is going to ask for a separation maintenance agreement, a child care maintenance agreement, or a divorce decree, or all of them. Because usually that indicates something, and they ask for all three because they may not have ever been married, right? So then usually if you have an agreement set up, it's called like a child maintenance agreement. So we will find it.
So
we will find it.
It sounds.
I try to ask on every application on the phone if they mention that they're not married or they're separated or they're divorced, if they're obligated to pay or receive any child support or alimony. That's a very important interview question.
Well,
very, very.
And what I'm hearing is there could be a significant amount of documentation required, depending on your situation. Yes. And what it sounds like a lot of people are doing, they'll go ahead and start looking, find the house they like, make an offer on it, And in the meantime, we haven't yet even got all the paperwork submitted to get full approval or qualified. Does that sound
Right.
And so now we're trying to work
honestly,
through that.
And honestly, sometimes the easiest thing to do, and I try to encourage my borrowers, I cannot require any documentation, but this documentation will be needed at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's easier for you just to go ahead and collect it and send it to me. It's good to get my eyes on it. It's good to get a loan officer's eyes on that paperwork.
Well,
It's a good idea.
and it makes total sense, because that's exactly when you see closings delayed. I mean, that's a huge part of it. Whether the lender still needs this or they still need that, and a lot of times all that to me it seemed like it should have been already taken care of before an offer was ever even made.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
I can usually tell, tricky situations that may slip us up, and I try to request that stuff immediately. I can't, like I said, I can't require it. Trade doesn't allow us to require it without an application, but I can request it and explain how much easier the process is going to be and how less stressful the process is going to be if we go ahead and get this part out of the way.
Okay. Well, it makes total sense now. That's why you're the mortgage go-to gal. Now, on another separate sheet here,
Okay.
if I'm looking at refinance, is there a significant difference right now in what the interest rate might be if I finance 30 years versus, say, 15 years? If I can cut my payments like that.
Well, if you can afford a 15-year and it keeps your current it changes your payments to almost be exactly what you're paying at your old interest rate for a 30-year,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, that's the best way to go. But everybody's needs are different when they're refinancing.
Sure.
And so, and that's an important thing to discuss when you're talking about refinancing. But if your payment is $800 and you bought 4 years ago, and your interest rate is 4.5, and you can go to 3.875, or you can go to 3.125 on a 15-year, and your payments remain the same, that's the smart way to go, because you already know that you can handle that obligation. And if you've only paid 4 years, you have 26 years left. You're cutting 11 years off your mortgage, and your payment's staying the same.
Yeah, and I mean, and you're looking at potentially saving certainly tens and maybe even $100,000 or so.
And interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was talking to one of our classes this past week that you buy a $100,000 home and you think that's what you're paying for it, but you look at that amortization schedule and all of a sudden that scares you when you see exactly what you paid for it.
Yeah, it might be 186 after 30 years or 196. Yeah.
Wow. So.
And I tell people you can also get ahead of the curve by making extra principal payments a year to your mortgage. If you make one extra principal payment a year to your mortgage, you have to designate it as principal only. You could knock 6 to 8 years off a 30-year mortgage.
Wow. That's awesome. And see, that's the kind of stuff why I really enjoy sending clients to you. I've never had a bad closing at all when using Erica, certainly not for financing reasons. And so, and I'm going to tell you, that's just a huge, in fact, Andy On will even tell you that, how critical it is to have someone that obviously very knowledgeable and very diligent to help this thing get all the way to closing. But it's really nice to have, like yourself, if things start going wrong, I like to be able to reach out and touch somebody.
Yes.
And you're right here. I know where you are.
That's right. You can find me.
Yeah. And you're right here. I don't have to go to California or somewhere looking for you.
No.
So it's just so much easier, and can't thank you enough for all you do. That's for sure. But
I feel the same way, Frankie.
Oh, yes. Love Fest now. All right. Well, how can we get in touch with you?
You can always reach me on my cell phone. It's 803-528-5019. You can email me at ewest@mortgagenetwork.com, or you can find me on Facebook. Just search for the Mortgage Go-To Gal.
Awesome. And highly recommend you go to our Facebook page. A lot of information there, and like it. because it's you keep it posted well. You keep a lot of good stuff on there, and very valuable site to go to if you're looking for information. That's for sure. Mortgage Go To Gal. That's Erica Hill West. Well, I hope you have a dry weekend, my dear.
You too. Thanks, Frankie.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
All right, again, Erica Hill West. She's with Mortgage Network, and if you're riding down the road, you couldn't write down that information or capture it in some way. Just go to my website. It's just frankiegriffin.com. Again, frankiegriffin.com. And on the right-hand side of my homepage, you'll see some additional links, really all the way down. But one, you'll see preferred partners, my real estate partners. Just click on that link, and there you'll find not only Erica West, but really anybody that you might need concerning your real estate situation, whether it be you need a closing attorney or a home inspector or heating and air, a plumber. You name it. I think we've got you pretty well covered. And these are guys and gals I've been using for years. I know them, I trust them, and they're going to take good care of you. All right, we'll be right back. On the other side, we're going to be talking about the other reasons we have delayed closings. Be right back with some more success in real estate. All right, good morning again. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. Again, I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge, also appraiser here in South Carolina. Thank you for joining us this morning, and hopefully we've already put out some very good information, especially on the financing stuff. But according to the National Association of Realtors, at least 1 out of 3 closings are delayed or even canceled due to several things, but 3 things primarily in the survey. And one, again, was the financing, which we kind of touched on that already. So the key there is we need to get in touch with Erica or whoever you're going to use. Make sure they have all the documents they need so that, one, we or whoever your agent's going to be can better help you when we're preparing or writing up the offer. It's just not going to be very, very fun to get the house under contract and then find out we've got other issues. We've got to modify the contract. There's just a lot of problems, and a lot of times they wind up not even closing because of that. But a couple of other reasons for delayed closings, and one of these would be due to appraisals. The things that the appraiser finds actually can cause problems with closing, and because it does appear that one of the last things we do in this closing process is order the appraisal, because we don't really want to spend the money to have it appraised until we know we've got everything else kind of locked up and ready to go. So by the time the appraiser does his thing, and by the way, appraisers are just, we're very backed up right now. A lot of appraisals going on, both because of people refinancing and also just buying a new home. A lot of appraisals, and so it takes a little bit longer to get out there, do the appraisal, and get it turned in. So by the time we get the appraisal back, we're a lot of times just in time for closing. Well, some things that the appraiser may write up are, especially if you're dealing with FHA or VA financing, which both are government loans, there are some very sensitive things that appraisers have to look for according to the FHA guidelines. And, these are things, too, that a lot of agents are not even familiar with in terms of what are appraisers looking for, because when it comes to the FHA and VA, in a lot of cases, the appraiser is not just acting as someone trying to determine the value. And really, we're kind of acting as another home inspector. We are certainly looking for certain issues with the house, if it exists, And if the appraiser writes up any of these issues, then we're not closing until those things have been fixed, corrected, replaced, whatever it needs to be done. And then the appraiser has to go back out and reinspect those things to make sure they have in fact been completed and completed properly. So this can cause the closing to be delayed or postponed. And I can tell you, if you're the buyer, this can cause problems, especially if the seller may have other interest from other buyers, may even have backup offers waiting. They may not be willing to extend the closing for you. They'll go ahead and just sever that deal right now, terminate it because we couldn't close on time, and then just go to their fallback, the backup offer, and we really don't want to do that. And this is one reason why, with the Palmetto Success Team, and I am an appraiser, so I think that gives you as my client some added security that, I will be looking for those type things when we put your house on the market for sale. We want to make sure that when the appraiser comes out, they can just determine the value and won't have to worry about any kind of issues or defects of any kind with the house. So I think you'll find that to be very, very helpful. And the next thing is, because I do a full appraisal on every property before it goes on the market, and that's on me. That's not something I charge to the seller. It's just something I do. Added benefit, if you will. Now we all know the true value, or at least what the market value is for your home. We make sure we get it priced right. I'll be more than happy to share the appraisal with potential buyers and buyer agents so that they can also see what the market value of the property is. And the reason that's such a big help for you, seller, is if the buyer truly feels comfortable with the value of the home, then they're going to make a more confident offer. If they're not all that confident with the value of the home, then obviously their offer is going to be somewhat, if not very conservative, and to the point where a lot of sellers may even consider it to be a lowball offer. But a lot of it is it's very easy to fix. It's just because the buyer does not feel comfortable that the house is worth what the seller is truly asking for it. So they just don't want to get tied up in the situation and then it not appraised. And that's been another big issue also, is houses going on the market or under contract. They're overpriced. Buyer agrees to pay the price, but then it just does not appraise. And again, if it's not going to appraise, then you're not going to get the financing for that property. So that's a big, I think, a very big thing that we do at the Palmetto Success Team to help you, set you up for success, to get your house sold without so many of the issues that a lot of people are having to deal with. I think is very, very helpful. Now, the other reason that we see delayed and canceled closings are due to the home inspections. And obviously, the home inspector finds things that the seller either is not willing to deal with, or in some cases, quite frankly, are not able to deal with. The money's not there, the equity's not there to make the repairs necessary for the buyer to feel comfortable moving forward with the deal. So that can always be a big issue for sure. So again, these are things that I've been dealing with for many years and have seen it personally for many years. So as a result, for the last few years, I like to, before your property goes on the market, before it even goes up for sale, I will bring in a home inspector to inspect the house. It's a pre-home inspection. So now both me and you as the seller now know the true condition of the property. A lot of the stuff home inspectors write up are what I would consider kind of nitpicking situations here, where when I say nitpicking, the seller could probably fix most of this stuff themselves. And I recommend we do that. Now, if it's something bigger, now obviously if it's bigger, it's something we're going to certainly need to fix, and may have to get somebody out here to fix it. But the key is to know all this stuff up front, not wait till it goes under contract. Because seller, once it goes under contract, the contract states any and all work performed must be conducted by a licensed contractor. I don't care how simple or easy a fix it is, even though you may feel like you can do it yourself. Now that we're under contract, you're going to have to hire a licensed contractor to fix that problem, and that will create more expense because we did not know it in advance. So that's what we try to help you with there. But before I go any further, let's go straight to our phone lines real quick, where I think we've got Teresa on the phone. How you doing, Teresa?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, it is such a fine day today. Hey, Teresa, we're got to take a break. Can you hold on? We'll be right back, okay? Be right back with some more Success in Real Estate.
And 1470 AM.
All right, welcome back to Success in Real Estate. This is Frankie Griffin, real estate broker and appraiser. Thank you for joining in this morning, listening to us. Love to hear from you if you have any questions or comments. The number to call is 803-799-8255. Again, 799-8255. And we do have Teresa on the phone line, so let me go right back to her. How you doing, Teresa?
I'm good. How are you, Frankie?
How do you enjoy being cut off when you get on the radio like that?
Not very well.
No? But at least I assume you're in a dry spot.
Yes, I am very dry.
Well, I do apologize for that. That was my fault. I was up against a break, and I brought you on too late. So, but anyway, what's going on with Teresa this morning?
Teresa's trying to find out two things.
Yeah.
One is this a buyer's market or seller's market in Columbia, South Carolina? And then two, I was calling to see, the Bible says you have not, because you asked not, about getting half off your final sales class.
Wow. So you're in need of final sales.
Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you what, I'll give you $50. How about that?
$50.
It's yours.
I'll take it.
It now belongs to Teresa because she called in. And thank you for doing that. But to answer your first question, and that's a question we get a lot, you know, especially this time of the year, we're probably back towards a little bit of a buyer market. But I got to tell you, I still think we're more so kind of on the fence right now. I think it'd be hard to call whether it be a buyer's market or seller's market. But by the time we get into the spring, especially say March and April time frame, I think you're going to start seeing a move, and I think it's going to be moving to a seller's market, and which is, I think we started moving there last year, and really caused a lot of problems with buyers, because for so many years, I mean for a long time, it's been a huge buyer market where buyers have now kind of gotten a little bit spoiled, where they think they can just make any kind of demands on the seller and get their way. And last year we're starting, and I've talked to a lot of agents about this, but more and more transactions, there just seems to be a lot of adversity between the buyer and the seller. And I think it's because of that reason. Sellers are basically kicking back and saying, no, I'm not giving you the whole world and let you buy my house. So we're having the buyers are at least going to have to start backing off some of their demands, I think, if they want the house they truly want. And that's going to be a big deal, I think, when we get into around spring, certainly through the summertime.
Okay.
But hey, if you want a house, we got to do what we got to do, right?
Got to do what you got to do.
Well, Teresa, thank you so much for calling in. Hope you have a blessed weekend.
You too.
All righty.
All right.
You take care.
Okay.
All right. All right. Well, that was a good question, because a lot of people ask me that. That's for sure, a lot. But I do want to go back to talking about reasons we have delays at closings. And again, if you have any questions or thoughts or comments about this, I'd love to hear from you. The number is 799-8255, 799-8255. And, we've already talked about, or all three of the main issues a little bit already. Obviously, financing, that's a big one. The appraisal, things you got to be looking for or be prepared for it when the appraisal comes back. And then also some issues that keep cropping up with home inspections. So quite a few things that we really need to be aware of if you're the seller before the house goes on the market, because these things can cause a lot of problems. Now, the first issue, the financing, obviously that's clearly on the buyer. Buyer needs to get all their stuff together and ready to go before they make the offer. But the other two, the appraisal issues and the home inspection issues, that's clearly on the seller. And there's just, these things can be avoided, and they can be. But what you're seeing a lot with a lot of agents and the sellers, they just really kind of put the house on the market and not real sure of the condition. Now, I know you think you know. Well, and I hear sellers say this all the time. Well, I've been living here for 20 years or 30 years or for however long, and I think I know my house, and if there's something wrong with it, I'll know it. Well, you may be surprised at that, because not many homeowners really crawl around that attic inspecting and looking hard for certain things. I mean, all over the attic. And we certainly don't crawl all underneath the house. And things can happen, and things can build up, and problems occur. And before you know it, a small problem can turn into a big problem if it's not rectified very quickly. So again, these are reasons why I just want to make sure my clients, my sellers, are again set up for success. We want to make sure the house is priced right from the very beginning. So that first of all, that will more than likely keep the days on the market down much lower. And I really think you can actually sell the house for more money by actually having it or pricing it right to begin with. You overprice it, then that's going to cause somebody to come in and with that low ball, and then things can just go wrong in a hurry when we start off that way. So we want to be set up for success. So this is why, again, Palmetto Success Team, if you're selling your house, we would love to hear from you. Give us a shot. Give us a call. Let me come talk to you. Go over some of the things that we do, and again, when I say we do, I pay for it. This is an investment I make in pretty much every listing I take or put on the market. And, as nice it is to say would like to have the listings, it's more important to me to have the sales. So it doesn't really do you as the seller any good for your house just to be listed if it doesn't sell. And it doesn't do me any good either. So we want to make sure we can get your house sold as quickly as possible so you can move on, get your life started again in your new home or wherever you're going to be going to. But, we're going to have it appraised, or I'm going to appraise it. I've actually got a partner, a partner with my appraisal that every time I do an appraisal, I make sure he reviews it just to make sure that I didn't miss something, I didn't make any mistakes and things of that nature, because that's the very last thing I'd want to do. So we work together to help each other in that respect. But then I also would like to get a pre-home inspection done, because that is just so critical. If there are problems with your house, we need to know that up front. You don't want to find that out after your house is going under contract. That's going to cost you, I think, from what I've seen, a lot more after the fact than it would be if we know it up front. I know some sellers get a little bit antsy about, I'm not even sure I want to know. Don't even want to know if there's a problem. Well, and if you've listened to this show much, you've heard me say it many times. if there's bad news, it's not going to get better with time. So better off just to know it right up front so that there are no issues down the road. A couple other things we do that I think helps get your home sold very quickly. Obviously, we have professional photos, and a picture speaks 1,000 words. You've heard that before. But, we want to make sure that when people are looking online, and that's where buyers are going to be looking, that the photos that are on the MLS and on our website and wherever else you may be looking, these are very high-quality photos. So we want to make sure that when buyers look at it, they can see the value in the home. So professional photos will be good. And we're also going to be videoing your home and putting it on YouTube and some other places as well. So it's very, very, I think, very valuable proposition for sure. Now, I understand there are some homeowners prefer not to have all that. They don't want their personal property, the pictures and the videos and stuff. They don't want that released to the public, and I get that, and I respect that. And if that's something you don't want to do, then we won't do that. Then we'll just stick to exterior photos and videos and things of that nature. But I think it is very, very helpful to get your house sold much faster. And then another thing we do is I will put your house under warranty. Again, now this is something I pay for. And sellers, you can just about expect when a buyer makes an offer, part of that offer is going to be asking for a home warranty. They're going to ask for it anyway. So, you know what? Let's just go ahead and provide it. Let's put it under warranty. But because of the way I like to do this, seller, your house is actually going to be under warranty the day your house goes on the market. So we're going to have seller coverage. So seller, if you do discover problems or have problems while the house is on the market, then hopefully it would be covered under the warranty. And then obviously once the house does sell, buyer has warranty coverage for up to 1 year from the time it does close. But I really think those things are going to be very, very big. We've seen great success doing this type of stuff. And you know what? We want you to know we're making a personal and financial investment every time you hire us to sell your home. And, the things we just talked about, it would cost you in excess of $1,000 if you were going to do all those things yourself. So there's quite a bit of savings right there, in my opinion. So want to make sure that we get you set up for success. Love to hear from you. Just give me a call or you can shoot me an email. Either way, you can always find my contact information on my website. It's just frankiegriffin.com, in www.frankiegriffin.com. And a lot of information is there. Not only my contact information, which I hope to hear from you, but a lot of information. So anyway, check us out. Give us a call. Try to stay safe this weekend. Thank you so much for listening to Success in Real Estate on the Point.